Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening on this live session. Please check in on today's event. The check-in link is on the screen, or you can scan the QR code, which will take you directly to the check-in page. The event ID is 15033. Please remember, by checking in, you get access to all the resources and learning parts after the event. The check-in information will also be added to the chats. My name is Ravneet, and I'm the program manager at Reactor London. You can find all our events on the Microsoft Reactor website or meetup group, which is also called Microsoft Reactor London. All the links to our platforms will be displayed on the screen before the end of the session. Before we get into the session, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, and please be kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Today's episode is on dyslexia in tech, and we are joined by Aaron Smith, Director at Send Group and dyslexic entrepreneur. Aaron, I'll hand it over to you. Just to let everybody know, this session will be recorded and will be available to view on our Microsoft Reactor website within the next 48 hours. Over to you, Aaron.
Thank you very much, Rav. I didn't actually see the video, so
Oh,
I don't know.
didn't.
I didn't. So I don't know if anyone else did. Just to point that out. So.
Okay. You know, sometimes when it's in the PowerPoint, it's very difficult. Sometimes people see it, sometimes not. But it was just a reactor video, basically, just 30 seconds video of telling people what the reactor is. But yeah, handing over to you
That's
now.
fine.
But I'll be in the background, Aaron, if you need me.
That's
Just
most
shout.
appropriate. Right. Hello, everyone. As Rav said, my name's Aaron Smith, and I've got lots of hats. Now, I've got this slide on the screen because for me, we're going to talk about accessibility today, and we're going to talk more about dyslexia. But this is a slide that I like to use, and the reason I like to use it is, one, because of some of the roles I do with Microsoft, which I'll talk about in a second, but also because it's actually a picture there about people. And a lot of this presentation will start around talking about people. But if you want to find out what Microsoft's doing around accessibility, please go to that link. So let me introduce myself. Now, I don't use a lot of words. I use basically pictures because, as you will have read, that I am severely dyslexic myself, and I have worked in the dyslexia world for over 20 years, and of course in the IT industry for the last 10 years. So my name's Aaron Smith. I'm a severely dyslexic adult. I'm 37 years old. I have a reading age of a 9-year-old and a spelling age of an 8-year-old. And this is the story of me getting to that clearing, getting to the end of that row of trees. I was in a wood earlier today on a scout campsite here in Leicestershire, where I live, sorting out lots of things that were going on with a scout group yesterday. But let's move forward on. So I was diagnosed at age 9. And I'm going to talk more about dyslexia in a second, but for me, dyslexia was kind of an up and down concept. I found this diagnosis a little bit strange. I was like, I don't know if I want to be dyslexic. And I use an analogy. It was like going to the dentist. I definitely had that stress and anxiety. My sister, who's 3 years younger than me, could read better than me. I was being bullied at school for not knowing what 1 times 1 was, and I didn't understand why, when we were at school, we have to do this thing called silent reading. Why do you have to silent read? Because if you're going to read, you've got to read out loud. You've got to hear yourself read, and that's how dyslexia felt for me. Now, I was very lucky that my parents did a lot of research, did a lot of understanding about what dyslexia was. And also here in Leicester, where I live, we have an organisation called the Leicestershire Dyslexia Association. It's a small charity, and it runs an after-school workshop on a Saturday morning. And at the height, before the pandemic, we had around 30 children attend that every week. And I was taken there when I was 9 years old. And I had these lessons, and I was being taught by specialist teachers in the field of dyslexia, which started to feel like, actually, no, I can learn to read, I can learn to write, I can learn to learn to spell, not smell, spell, and I can move forward. But that was going on in out of school. Now in school, I got to year 6 at school, so kind of 11 years old when I basically had enough with being bullied. I told the teacher explained to the students that I was different. I then went into my high school. Now my high school was 3 years. Was really interesting for me because I started to see what computers were like. I started to play around with that first ASDA for school voucher computer and started going to computer club. But I was told by a teacher at that school that to my parents and to me that I'll never amount to anything because Aaron can't read. That's what this teacher said to my mum, which was heartbreaking. And I kind of never my mum tells me I was there and I heard it. And I don't think I ever kind of registered it. But now I kind of think of that concept and say, you know what, let's see what happens now. So I did them 3 years at that school. And then when I got to my upper school, which is kind of the year I did my GCSEs, our last year of mainstream education, last 2 years of mainstream education for when I was at school. And the SENCO, the special needs coordinator, said to me, Aaron, you're the most severely dyslexic person. We're going to support you. Now, that was the first time they used this word dyslexia. It's the first time they ever used it. And I got that support. I got that teaching assistant sitting next to me, that human there sitting next to me. Now, in some lessons, that was enabling me to participate and answer questions in things like biology. But in other lessons, they were just poking me to keep me awake. Now, when I look back at that, and when we start talking about technology over the rest of this session, actually for me, was that accessible? Was that supportive? And we don't know, and that's the thing. Now, moving forward, I did leave school with 5 GCSEs, and I got on this path to a career. I left school with 5 GCSEs. I did a GMVQ and an A level in IT. And then I changed my concept. I went and worked as a youth worker. I was a youth worker for two years, and I got made redundant from that job. I needed a job, so I went and started working on a building site as a labourer. You know, picking up bricks, making compo, and smashing windows and stuff like that. Now, being dyslexic, because we'll talk about this later, is that dyslexia has these co-occurring conditions. It has dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, ASD, dyscalculia. And dyspraxia is one thing that I have, which is basically motor coordination. And I always say that I was a dyspraxic pushing a wheelbarrow meant that the stuff that was in it wasn't in it for very long. And that's the best way to describe it. Now, again, that job only lasted 6 months. And then I went and started another job working in retail. And I love that job. But they didn't understand that actually dyslexia is a disability and it affects your day-to-day life. And that is really important to me to know that, and it's really important to me to share that. But I left that job with an error in the till. I had an error in till procedures. I'd lost my bonus. I'd got my final written warning, which today shouldn't ever happen because of the safeguards we have into place. And then I got the job that I always wanted. And that is I became the Membership Development Officer of the British Dyslexia Association. And I was there for 5.5 years. But in 2016, this concept in my life of redundancy happened again. And I got made redundant. Now, I applied for 17 jobs. And I don't like, and on paper, my CV is not good because I just find it difficult to write and communicate in that format. But I didn't get any interviews, so I decided to go and work for myself. So in 2016, I founded a company called Sen Group. Sen Group is a CPD company. I'll get it right today. A CPD company for teachers. We deliver online training for teachers using webinars and training methods of online. I then founded the LVA Group. The LVA Group is a consultancy company. It works with companies like Dyslexia Box, and it's a vendor for Microsoft that supports in the areas of dyslexia and accessibility. I've worked with other companies such as Claro Reed, Nessie, Scanning Pens, all in the field of dyslexia, also Deco Comics as well. We've done lots of things in that. I then, in 2019, founded my third company, which was called Dyslexia Show. Dyslexia Show is the UK's first national exhibition dedicated to dyslexia. This will be an event that takes place at the NEC in Birmingham in March next year. And then in the middle of the pandemic in 2020, I founded another company called Sen Group International. Sen Group International delivers that online training to India and also supports an independent school here in the UK. And then only in August this year, me and my wife bought another company. We bought a company called Read Successfully that is a physical card game product. It's a multi-sensory card game for phonics and to support dyslexic children. So at the end of that story, we could say that that teacher that said to me that, Aaron, you'll never amount to anything, really needs to rethink that. Because even though that, yes, I have a reading age of a 9-year-old, a spelling age of an 8-year-old, no automatic reading capabilities. I don't read automatically. I don't see words and kind of I have to tell myself to read subconsciously. I don't just go to a word and read it. And last names, that's just another thing. We stay away from last names as well. But we have achieved and we can achieve and we have difficulties and differences. And it's kind of interesting for me that I say that dyslexia is a disability. Some dyslexics will say it's not, but in the world today, there is 1 billion people in the world with a disability. And when we think about the terminology that we use in the UK, so we have an Equality Act, and the Equality Act is really useful. And it basically says that a disability is a physical or mental impairment that affects your day-to-day life. There's a few other words in that, and that's really useful to know because to me it affects my life. It affects my day-to-day life. I find it difficult to read things. Now, going on to this, this is a slide, again, another slide from Microsoft that I love. It's kind of our inclusive design method, or Microsoft's inclusive design method. That we have pictures there of people wearing masks. We have pictures there with people with a cane, and people there with hearing difficulties, people there that are just, you can't see any physical differences. And what we know is there's actually 83% of us will get a disability at working age. And this could be permanent or temporary. 70% of disability is either hidden or invisible, and that's where dyslexia sits. And 13 million people in the world in the UK today have a disability, and there's about 6.4 to 6.7 million people in the UK today that have some severity dyslexia. 6.4 million. That's 10% of the UK population. Now, we are lucky in the UK that we have the Equality Act, and that Equality Act is a really important thing. It came in 2010, and it really helps this concept. We're also really lucky in the UK to have Access to Work. Access to Work is a government scheme that allows anyone with a disability to contact the work and pensions, to the Department for Work and Pensions, and you're able to get support through them, depending on the level of income, level of employees your company you work for has. You can get it if you are self-employed or if you are employed by a company, and it gives you that support to get either technology or coaching or training and so forth. So it's a thing that I use a lot, and as a dyslexic I use it really well. I actually have a support worker that kind of manages my diary and supports me. Now, when we look at dyslexia, this word here, think differently, is used a lot when we're trying to understand what dyslexia is. Now, as I said, dyslexia is a co-occurring difference, and there's many things in dyslexia we need to think about. Now, lots of statements on this slide are very out there because I've put these on here to kind of think and having you think about when I say the word dyslexia, because some people say a learning difference. Some people say a disability. Some people say it's just about literacy. It's only about reading. It's a myth. It's lazy child syndrome, and it's middle class parenting. And these have all been said over the past 10 years. I've heard these all before. People are lazy. Children are lazy. Adults are lazy. They don't want to do stuff. Right? You can't be dyslexic because you can read. It's not a disability. It is a disability. Only middle class parents use it because of it. And that is really hard to say because these have all been said before. But dyslexia is a disability. Dyslexia is a learning difference. It affects the way you learn. It is not just about reading, writing, and spelling. It is often about other things. Yes, lots of dyslexics have difficulties with literacy, but it's not that point. It could be there that it's often about memory and time management. And unfortunately, my captions are covering over the next word. It says there time management. It is about memory, and that's probably the cause and the kind of concept around dyslexia of how the brain processes information, and that's probably the cause of it. We do have this concept of visual blueprints, how we see things in our mind, and that inconsistency of words and sound confusion. The English language is probably one of the hardest languages to learn in the English language, we have 44 sounds to 26 letters. So we know there's 26 letters in the alphabet, but we have 44 sounds. So when we say kind of words like was, saw, and Sam, that's that visual blueprint as well. Like think like how we see that word in our head. It's also how we see the word cat. Now, what I would normally say to here is actually, if you listen to me now for a second, I'm going to pause and I'm going to say a sentence, and then have a think about it. And you can put the answers in the chat. We can look through them. I'll have a look through them earlier. So I'm going to pause now and I'm going to say a sentence. If I say the word cat, what do you see in your head? If I say the word cat, what do you see in your head? Now, some of you can put that you may see a picture, some of you may see the word, some of you may have heard me say, when I say the word cat, I see a word. And also some of you may be reading the captions, so that may help you. And this is this concept of visual blueprints and how we can get confused with words and pictures and images and symbols as well. It also goes on to this concept of that sound confusion. So when you think about sounds, so some people put their image, which is brilliant to see. I saw the picture. I didn't see either, someone said, which is interesting to know. It is. It's that concept of how we listen, how we have that auditory memory. But if we think about sounds in the English language, so th, the, the, the. So a th sound sounds like a v sound, sounds like a the sound. They all sound very similar. And these are words that we find difficult, that may be harder to hear and maybe hard to differentiate when we try to look at spelling and reading. Phonological awareness can be weak. It can be that weak phonological awareness. And this is all about them letter sounds, it is. Now, in the UK today, we do a lot about phonics, and phonics can be amazing. And when we look back, that I've just purchased a phonics company, and we know that phonics can work, but if it works in a specific way, and it works in that way about overlearning, it is just a different way that we learn. And this is the concept, is that we live in a literal world. Now, for me, the hardest thing for me happens twice a year, or sometimes 3 times a year. Let's say 3 times a year, because it is 3 times. So in May is my wife's birthday. In February is Valentine's Day, and in December is Christmas. And what are the things that lots of us do? We go and buy a card. So going into a shop and trying to read the inside of a card is really difficult. It's probably the one thing that I hate doing in life, because having to decode that wording in the middle of a card can be really hard. Now, it's fascinating for me that dyslexia is also genetic. So my mum and dad aren't dyslexic, but my grandfather was definitely dyslexic and my uncle was dyslexic. I could see that straight away. My mum and dad have dyslexia tendencies. They're not probably both, neither of them are probably dyslexic in the concept of being diagnosed, but you can see the tendencies in them. My daughter is dyslexic, but mildly dyslexic, but my daughter is an automatic reader, which is the amazing thing. When she first read something and I could see her read automatically, is an amazing concept for me. It is just that way that we learn. And you can see there that when we have this literal world, we can find things different and find things challenging. As I said, genes and genetics. It's fascinating for me, though, that we do have strengths. And that is something we have to think about. We can think outside the box. We can have that lateral thinking concept. I can have an argument with someone and see their point of view very clearly. It's a really useful thing to see that actually I can laterally understand that thinking. We can problem solve. I was lucky when I worked for the British Dyslexia Association. The CEO of that charity at the time, Dr. Saunders, said to a group of young people, if there's a problem in the BDA, the first person I go to is Aaron, because I can see things differently. I can think outside the box and I can problem solve. And I enjoy that. We've got that big picture thinking. We've got that spatial awareness and that verbal communication concept. And unfortunately, you can't see the last one. I'm going to just move my subtitles. I'm just going to do that now and stop my presentation for a second while I move my subtitles so we can actually see it, because it's very easy to move them. And the reason why we have subtitles is because I don't know the audience. I don't know who's there. I don't know who's with me. So you've got thinking out of the box, lateral thinking, problem solving, big picture thinking, spatial awareness, and of course, creativity. So let's just kind of look at these, thinking outside the box. That is just understanding something, making things different, looking at things in a different way. The lateral thinking I've talked about, problem solving. I enjoy problem solving. The big picture thinking concepts and spatial awareness are quite useful. And that's also where creativity comes in. Because if we take the Dyslexia Show is an event in a hall at the NEC. And I can stand in that hall and I can close my eyes or even have my eyes open and I can see, okay, there's a pillar there. There'll be a stage in front of that. There'll be a pink carpet. There'll be a stand there and there'll be a stand there. There'll be these two stands here. And that's a really interesting concept that I can see that in my mind. I can look at it and visualize it. A friend of mine from India was told that he has no spatial awareness at all when he was diagnosed with dyslexia. He drives a Fortuner and a Toyota, a massive Toyota device in the middle of India. And touch wood, he's never been in an accident. So spatial awareness is something that he definitely has, even though he's told he doesn't. We find ways, and I do when I talk to dyslexic people, a lot of dyslexic people, it depends on how well they've been worked with on the system, because we know it's a minefield of concepts around the education system that people have different opinions. So we have some people that have really been angered by our education system, by our work system, by our rules and regulations and how they have to do stuff. But then some people are really positive, and that is the thing about it, is if we can make sure that we look at kind of that well-being of any dyslexic, we can move forward. Now, how does this link back to technology? How do we move this back to assistive technology and technology that supports us? And assistive technology for me is this concept here where it has to assist you. It has to solve a problem. It has to be adaptive in the way that we use it. It can be rehabilitating to have something that helps. And I'm going to talk about these in more detail. It supports and aids you, it assists you, changes you, and empowers you. Now, the reason why I do a presentation like this is because basically all these words mean something to me. So assisting you. So for me, I have a piece of technology which we'll talk about in more detail in a second, which is text-to-speech that reads out loud. That's an adaptive concept because and adaptions are there so we can turn a PDF into an accessible PDF. The rehabilitating concept is really fascinating to me. So when I worked for the British Dyslexia Association, I managed our online store, and I used to sell products and services for the charity, and I was amazed to see a young person that found things really difficult at school, and this child was kind of the naughty child, the child that was always in trouble, and the SENCO, special needs coordinator, and the head and the deputy head fought for this child to have a piece of software for dictation, so they could dictate into the computer and remove that frustration of handwriting and typing and spelling. So they did that. And this child, I was in the room with the child, and I was told, just don't be aware if this child throws a chair at you. I'll try and catch it. That's what the SENCO said to me. So I was in a suit. The child was not happy that he was in the room with me. And I demonstrated the concept of dictation. And he had a go. And his demeanor changed. He went, I can get information out of my head. I got told a week later that he'd wrote a thank you letter to the head teacher. Now, that is an amazing concept. That changed that child's life. And that's what it is about that change. It's assisted that child. It's supported that child. It's empowered that child. And that's where assistive technology should do. It should empower us. It should change our life. And the concept of technology is powerful, whatever happens. And for me, the change and kind of the use of it is there. And we have assistive technology in our pockets. We have these things. We have a device that can read things, that can change things, which is so powerful. It is. And how we can empower ourselves, and understanding how our dyslexia affects us, or how a dyslexic affects a young person or an adult, is really important. We know there's different types of technology out there. There's text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is an amazing concept. It reads this concept where we can literally read text out loud. And I don't know if you know this. I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to bring this in. There's going to be no captions on the screen, but I'm going to bring this on the screen. So I'm on the Edge browser. The Edge browser for me is just an amazing concept, and it's something I use every single day. Let's go to this. I know it's about Strictly. I have no idea what it's about, but I can press the right mouse button. I have a read aloud button there. I can press that and it will read the text out loud to me. I can press this button here in the address bar, which sends it to Immersive Reader, which is a tool that Microsoft has created for children with dyslexia, but also can be used with adults as well, where I can manipulate my text. I can have a colored background. I can have Comic Sans because it's a dyslexia font. I can pick up my nouns, my verbs, my adjectives, and I can manipulate it for me personally. It's non-stigmatizing. No one else knows this. No one else can see this. And that's where text to speech and the concepts can be really beneficial. We've talked about speech to text or dictation. I said to you earlier, I have a spelling age of an 8-year-old. My spelling is probably the worst thing ever. And that is the most frustrating thing for me, is getting information on paper. But I'm talking quite fast. I apologize for that. But the AI of PowerPoint, which is doing captions, is doing this concept of speech to text. It's converting my text, what I'm saying, into text, my speech into text. It's going to be one of them days. One of the other things that dyslexics do find difficult is the concepts. So we have in my house, we have a tumble dryer, a washing machine, and we have a dishwasher. Now, we've only had a dishwasher for about 1.5 years. Now, I would often say, do you want me to put the clothes in the dishwasher? I'll say that again. Do you want me to put the clothes in the dishwasher? And what's that white thing called? The fridge or the freezer? No, it's a tumble dryer. And this is a thing called rapid naming. So when your brain is running at that level, which mine is at the moment, because I'm so excited to be with you all, you've got to kind of slow down in your head and move forward. But going back to topic, because I digress there massively, text to speech, again, just a powerful tool. Now, mind mapping is a concept. It's this concept that we've seen that actually can help a lot of dyslexics, because our brains are very busy. We've got lots of things going on, and it kind of overlaps then with the ADHD brain and the autism brain, and kind of we make things difficult and different. But being able to draw in the center of a screen and then kind of go, okay, like me, if I put me in the middle of the screen, my wife's name's Lucy, my daughter's name's Amelia, my mum's name's Linda, my dad's name's Steve, my sister's called Lauren, and her husband's called Steve, and her 2 kids are called Jack and Freddie, and we can go forward on that. And this is really important and really powerful, that we can get information out of our head onto paper really quickly, and that's where mind mapping really comes in. Note-taking tools are out there that support people note-taking. I don't know if you've seen tools like the Remarkable Me, the Surface Pro, how we can write on a Surface Pro or a Surface Go. We can handwrite with our pen, which is really powerful. And if you look at things like the new Surface Pro, has haptic feedback, which actually helps someone like dyslexic that wants to handwrite. And also then you have the AI that converts handwritten notes into text, and this can be really powerful. We have tools for spelling. Yeah, we all use a spell check. What was the thing I was told? Use the spell check. Let's go back a stage. I can't read the spell check, but we can now see in things that Microsoft have done has actually been enabled that we will read out the spellings. This again is a powerful tool, and this is useful for our learners. And there's loads of education tools now, though. There's lots more than there used to be. There's not as many as there should be. And when I say an education tool in technology, an education tool, everything else apart from education is a productivity tool. It actually supports the difference or the challenge or the difficulty. An education tool should actually teach the challenge. So say we have a reading difference, we should actually have a piece of technology that teaches that. Excuse me there. I apologize there. Sneezing. Whatever, that's what happens when we do things. I can't go any further forward from that. But anyway, going forward, that concept of education is all about supporting that learner, giving that concept of actually supporting with the learning concept of that. And that's where I class education software in there. There's not many around. There could be more. There's 1 or 2. Everything else is a more of a reasonable adjustment, like spelling and note-taking, mind mapping. And these are tools that I use every day. And in the UK today, actually assistive technology is not as well known and not as well used in certain sectors, but it is massively used in our university sector. And that's really interesting for me. But the reason for that is that we have disability student allowance. So at the moment, and it's still available at the moment, is where that if you are a student that has a difference or a disability like dyslexia, you can go to Student Finance England, say you have a disability. They will want proof, which is a big difference to Access to Work, because Access to Work don't need proof. You need proof, which is assessed by a registered person. That report will then go to to a needs assessor. That needs assessor will work out what you need as a dyslexic, as someone with autism, and it will give you technology to support that, which I've just shown you. So in universities, we see a lot more students using assistive technology, and that has now fed into the workplace. Over the pandemic, over that time of COVID, I know we're probably still in the pandemic, but the early part of the pandemic, we saw lots of people working from home. We saw lots of people actually realizing they have differences. So it could be someone that has dyslexia, may have autism, that drive to work from home to work is that transition. So that means it puts them in that mental state of transition from work to home. It could be that actually someone with dyslexia, like me, I found personally working from home, I was more productive because there's no distractions. But I've seen the high use now of actually assistive technology. And that's where schools come in. So schools are actually third on the list. So our education system is there, it's getting there. And with companies like Microsoft, it's actually making it better because they're building technology in their software for free for schools, which is really powerful. We see a lot of assistive technology being used in exams, and this is where a lot of bought products, so lots of products that that schools have to buy because of the exam rules around online teaching and on online access of exams and online technology. Can't always use some of them in exams, but the use of technology in exams is actually, there is a whole industry in that. That a scanning pen. The biggest thing they sell is their exam reader because it's cost effective and saves money. And actually, we use technology, and we use this technology in everyday life. We use copy and paste. Copy and paste is a tool that is assistive. It helps me. I can't spell every word, so if I copy it, I can use it. We use our smart speakers to say things. Mine reads out my diary to me. It's a bit of annoyance, but it reads it out. So it means that if I'm over there doing something else and I go, oh, I've got 15 minutes to sit back at my desk and do this piece of work. But what has happened is this technology has become in everyday life. So me saying text to speech or speech to text, that is what these smart speakers are doing. They're using that technology in a different way. And we use things like, I've seen a video from Satya Nadella where he's been to Universal Studios and he's spoke into it. It's remembered his name, and then it started talking to him as he walks around the scare maze. Technology that is used for assistive technology can be used for entertainment, which is really useful. Technology is a concept that I think changes lives. For me, it definitely empowers people. And this is important concepts for me. When we look at these things, and I use these words quite lightly, these things like empowering people. For me, yes, I'm a massive Microsoft fan. Yes, I'm a Microsoft partner. I'm a Microsoft contractor. I have an iPhone. I have a Surface Duo. I have a number of Surface devices. Probably too many Surface devices for my wife's now. But the reason I have that is because they enable me to do what I want to do and do what I do best, and that is to actually talk about technology that supports people. I have tools that enable people and change people's lives. I have tools that are developing me as a person, and enables me to not have that stigma or that difference. I can have that mainstream, that life changing, that independent working, independent learning concept, and it can be supportive and it can be transformative lives. Now, when we look at this mission statement, I love Microsoft's mission statement. At Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person in every organization on the planet to achieve more. It doesn't matter if we have dyslexia, if we think about accessibility, disability, gender, race, sexuality, male, female, child, adult, younger person, older person. We are all different. We all can be empowered. And if that's Microsoft's mission, it's really empowering. I would definitely recommend people to listen or read Hit Refresh. Hit Refresh was written by Satya Nadella, Microsoft's chairman and CEO. It was written after his first 5-year tenure at Microsoft. And for me, that gives that grounding of where he comes from. Now, he understands disability. He understands that D&I lifestyle. He has a son with cerebral palsy and daughter with cognitive difficulties. And he talks a lot about Zane, his son, in his book, and how technology has changed his life and how technology can change other people's lives. And this is the thing, you see, Microsoft has developed so many things. We've developed dictation. Dictation is probably that biggest thing that I love. Read aloud is in like many products. It's in It's in things like Magnifier. It's in Edge browser. It's in Word. It's in PowerPoint. It's there. Immersive Reader as a tool is just an amazing concept that allows you to manipulate that kind of reading view, that view for you as a reader. It helps teaching. Accessibility checker. How many of us use it? Checking our works, checking that concept of, is this work accessible, which can be really powerful. The Edge browser has things. Microsoft To Do. This is amazing to see. Microsoft To Do, that you would think, why is that an accessibility tool? It's on my phone, it's on my Surface, it's on every device. And this is the point that actually Microsoft To Do could really help people. Microsoft Planner, that's a powerful tool because it actually helps you put things into buckets. And this is the thing, you see, it's part of Microsoft 365. It's just there for a school. It's free. It's already there. So I use it in my business. I use it in my personal life. We actually did all of my wedding planning on Planner and To Do and OneNote. The concept of Microsoft Exchange, or the concept of email and Microsoft 365's email service. Why is this an accessibility concept? Oh, because it's on every device. It means I can see my emails. So what it means then is the concept of anxiety is that, yes, you can have anxiety of getting too many emails, but actually at least I can see something before I go into work the following day. Help. OneDrive. OneDrive is a cool tool because, yes, your files are just there. There's no need to worry about storage. Power Automation. If you haven't used Power Automate, it's a brilliant tool. I have it now that if I have a notification on my phone that comes up and says, would you like to have a meeting note in your OneNote? And I can say yes or no. Ease of access. Now, ease of access has been Windows 10. If you've got Windows 11, it's now called accessibility, which is an amazing concept. But ease of access is just a brilliant tool because it's got things like colorblind tools. It's got things like how you change your mouse pointer. My mouse pointer is white, but if I hover over it, I can change colors. It's just a powerful tool how you can do that. Magnifier, I said it earlier, it's just so many things. There is so many things there. If you go to aka.ms/accessibility, aka.ms/accessibility sway, aka.ms/accessibility sway, there is so many features there you can see, and that is just a powerful tool. Now, the thing about it is, for all of you out there, you've listened to me talk about dyslexia. We can think and grow things. We can move things forward. We can support things and support people. When we go back to when we look at this concept here of what technology can do, and I'm just going to show the slide again, empowering, enabling, developing, and supporting. And if we go back, and I always jump around my presentation when we look at things like this, when we're looking at the concepts of dyslexia, of how we have difficulties with not just reading, writing, and spelling, but time management, consistency in words, phonological awareness, the genetics, the way we learn. Technology can play a massive part in that because we can do things and move things forward. Now, I'm going to quickly show you. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to just stop sharing, and I'm going to share my screen again. And I'm going to bring that browser back in and just show you how that works. And the reason I've done that is because I want to turn sound on. So I'm going to bring the browser back in. So again, this is the web browser here. So I'm going to have no captions on my screen. So if you do need captions, I apologize. You can turn them on Teams by pressing the three little dots. Which I'm just going to do now. So you've got captions there running. So captions are now running on Teams as well. So let's go to this one. This is the article I went to before. So as I said to you here, I can press the right mouse button and there's the read aloud. Now watch what happens.
BBC Strictly Come Dancing. Viewers all said the same thing as Don Walker voted off in quarterfinals. Lisa.
So this is really useful. Now you see that there, that it was reading out loud. It's got a natural speaking voice. It's a really nice voice. And it has synchronization. That highlighting is called synchronization. So it means I can synchronize it as. So it's a really useful thing there. And I could highlight and go continue reading from here.
2 Met police officers jailed.
And it does that sometimes because there is another advert. Let's do this bit here because it helps me there. So let's do this bit here.
According to Twitter, many fans seemed sad to see Dan go, but all said the same thing as AJ and her partner Kai was saved in the dance-off.
So
Viewers of the hit BBC.
So you can see there that I've got some information. I don't know the actual point of this article yet. I haven't got to it yet, but I can hear it. I can see it, which is very beneficial for me because I find it really difficult to read. But like I said to you, in lots of websites, not all of them, we have this button in here in the top corner, which is the immersive reader. Now, as I said to you here, we've got lots of things we can do. We can change our text preferences, the font, the size, and again, this is free. If you've got the Edge browser, any text-rich website will see it. This is a new feature that they've just added, which is all about text columns, so making it bigger or smaller. Different background colors you can use. I like the green. But I can also do things like syllable division, which is really good for education. Walker, dancing. It's really powerful. I can pick out parts of speech like nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, which are useful for education more than anything, but they're there. I can do pitch dictionary. Look on the word dancing. There's a picture. So if we actually find words really hard to decode, there's technology now been built into it. And this is free. If you've got a Windows 10 device, you've got a Windows 11 device, it's there today. And this is the whole point of this technology, is that you can actually do it. And you can actually see these things here that support our learners and support our individuals. So thinking differently is just amazing. It is a really concept and a common thing. I said earlier that the 6.4 to 6.7 million people in the UK today with some severity of dyslexia. 50% of the prison population have a literacy difficulty, but we also know that 40% of entrepreneurs have a dyslexic tendency. Dyslexia can be a positive thing, and that's what we have to remember, that yes, there is negatives, yes, there is difficulty, yes, there is problems, but we can support people, we can grow, we can get that technology, we can use technology to support people. But actually the biggest thing is understand your strengths, understand your differences, and move forward and use that concept there. We've had a very traumatic time over the last 2 years around the pandemic, around the way that we work, around the way that we do things. But actually, if we can think outside the box, grow and support each other, we can really move forward. I want to thank you for listening. On the slide is my email. I'm happy for people to contact me. I'm happy also, if you want to ask me a question, you can do, but also follow me on Twitter. By all means, follow me on Twitter. I'm happy to do that. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. Happily support anyone that needs that support. And if you want to see me, come and see me in March 25th, 26th at the Dyslexia Show at the NEC in Birmingham next year. Rav, handing it back over to you to see if there's any questions and comments.
Thank you so much, Aaron. That was absolutely amazing. I learned so much. I never knew about all of these things. And yeah, it was absolutely amazing. But do we have any questions for Aaron? If there's any questions, please do drop in the chats, or you can unmute and...
I've stopped sharing so we can see people a bit better.
Yeah.
So yeah, by all means, do put
Please
your
do
hand
ask.
up. Yeah, do ask me a question. I'm here. I'm happy to speak to you. I try and always speak for about 45 minutes, but I'm always there. I see that I think that person said there, never knew about immersive reading. That would really help massively. That's a really interesting thing there, that person said, because actually immersive reading has been around since 2015, and we really want more people to use it. It's just in Edge, that's the thing. So thanks, Aaron. Really nice session. Learned a few things that I didn't know, and new features accessible aid too. No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Can you share the link that I can send to colleagues to summarize Windows and accessibility? So it's AKA, if you want to write this in for me, please, Rav, into the chat.
Yeah.
AKA.ms/accessibility sway. That's what you can share. That's the best place to look. Or that's it there. So sway, not swipe, sway. SWAY, sway.
Okay.
That's the best way to share it with colleagues. That's it. aka that's perfect. Yeah, that's the best place to look. Just search for that. You can also search for lots of things on Microsoft's website around it. If you're in education, of course you can contact me. My main role within Microsoft is working within the education sector as that contractor that delivers that awareness. There's only two of us that do that role in the world, me in the UK and Rachel in the US, and that's how I know a lot about technology and what Microsoft is doing. But no, always enjoy talking to people about dyslexia. Anyone else got any questions for me? Anyone want to unmute themselves and ask a question?
Yeah, Robin says he's got one more question.
That's fine. Robin, if you want to unmute, by all means, please do.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't know. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, yes.
Cool. Thank you. Just say thank you so much for this session. I go to quite a lot of Reactor events, and this one is really relatable, and thank you very much for doing it. My quick question was, is there a program or anything that Microsoft or partners you know about available where people can get involved to help on the accessibility journey of the people along the way? For me, technology is very much a good driver for it, but I'm mindful of trying to help others understand and come along the journey. It's a bit of a broad question, but
it's a really good question. It's a really informative one. I think there isn't a lot of that, but I would definitely say looking at things like Enabling Technology. I think that's the name of the organization. They're actually based in is it Enabling Technology? I'm gonna have to search for it now. Enabling. Microsoft do something called the Accessibility for All awards, and actually that's what I went to. The last thing I went to at the Reactor. So that's a good thing to follow. That might be more of a communication concept. There's lots of like online groups on social media platforms that to get involved to actually find information. You could be a member of a local dyslexia association. That's probably another thing to do. Depends on where you are in the country, or a member of the British Dyslexia Association. That would really help as well. But that's probably the things where there is at the moment. It's a really interesting concept thing that you said there, Robin. And I actually think there probably needs to be more things like that. Probably talking to your local, if you have a local citizens advice bureau, that would be a useful thing. And just looking locally where if there's any neurodiverse charities, there's one or two now popping up since the pandemic. There's been so much more support needed. One or two new charities have started created because they've been offering that support because of what people have seen. AbilityNet, that's the name of the organization. It's come to me in the head. So if you look at AbilityNet's website, that might be able to help you. AbilityNet. So they may have support as well. I knew it would come to me in the end.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else got any questions? Rab, do you have any questions? Go on, I'm going to put you on the spot.
No, I don't have any questions. I think it was an amazing presentation, to be honest. I didn't know so many things, and I learned so much. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But yeah, I do have like some links to share with everybody. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, I can put them. But I think Dingan just had a question. He says, do we have access to the slides or presentation?
I will share them with you, absolutely. You can share them out.
Perfect. That's great.
Right.
So if you've checked into today's event, we usually send out an email 2 days after the event, and you will get the slides and event resources in that email.
Someone just saying thank you.
Robin says thank you.
The thing that I love about Teams
Yeah.
is that it's pinging on that computer, and my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. We just had a question about PB. So, so the recording will be available, actually on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube's YouTube channel. So you can view the session, anytime. It'll be available forever. PB says, I would like to share the presentation with the school.
By all means do that. The other thing you can do is on that last slide, you saw my email. If you want to share that with the school, by all means, please do so, because if it's a school, I actually do another presentation that is more specifically approachable for a school, which is all freely available for them. I love seeing people using reactions. So these tools here are just amazing. They are, because to me, actually, yes, they're an emoji, but actually they're an accessibility concept. I know not some people have left, but I'm going to give you this accessibility concept. So you see behind me, I have a blurred background. That was created because of accessibility. So in Microsoft, we have Jenny Lay-Fleury, who's Microsoft's Chief Accessibility Officer. A lady in her team had to lip read and found it really difficult at the end of every Teams meeting. She was so tired because there was so much background behind her. And what happened is that having a blurred background means that they can focus on someone's mouth and on someone's face, and not having that visual overstimulation to move forward. So there you go, lots of things there to support people. Yeah, blur backgrounds are cool. I like them. I always blur my background. I blur it on other platforms as well. If there's any more questions, so.
Yeah. Great. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Oh, you can see my screen. So that's again. Thank you everyone for attending this session. As I said before, the video will be available on our YouTube channel, which is aka.ms/reactor-youtube, or you can search on Google Microsoft Reactor or Reactor, or go onto the youtube.com and search Reactor, and you will get all the events, upcoming events, and also the previous events. They're all uploaded on our YouTube channel, and this session will be available to view on demand within the next 24 to 48 hours. I have put all the links up on the screen, so you can follow our meetup, follow our Twitter, our YouTube channel. You can sign up to our emails and to receive all upcoming news on all upcoming events. But thank you all, everybody. Thanks, Aaron, for joining in. And yeah, we hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you very much. I think my other computer crashed right at the end of my presentation, which is good to know.
Yeah.
So I quickly joined on the other screen, so it worked.
Oh, amazing. So yeah, if you've checked in, you will get the event resources. So yeah, thank you everyone. Have a great evening. Have a great evening, Aaron. And yeah,
thank you very much.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thanks very much. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Rav. Brilliant
Thank you.
presentation.